A lot of times you spend a lot of money and don't get anything in return. That's the problem. So
hey, what is up, everybody? This is Daniel Nguyen, the host of the Local Domination Show. Today I have Dr. Mahi. She is a dentist in Chicago, and she's very, very busy with her practice that she recently opened. And we're here to kind of see what's working well for her and how we can learn to our own business, right? So Dr. Mahi, can you introduce yourself of who you are and what you do?
hi, yes, I'm Dr. Mahi, and last name is Mehr. I'm from Chicago. Not originally. Originally, I'm Iranian. I was born and raised in another country. I came here when I was 28. I went back to school. I was a dentist overseas as well. But I was teaching at a dental school for about 2 years, and I came here. I went to school again, and I went to school in Iowa. So then I came to Chicago, worked for a couple of years, different dental practices, from Medicaid practices to just private dental practices. Then I decided that I wanted to have my own practice. So I opened my own practice 6 years ago in Chicago, Lincoln Park.
So what is like the biggest lesson that you learned when you're working with, after you graduated, you're working between, other dentists, dental clinics, and what was like the key takeaway that you learned and kind of opened your own practice?
Well, I think that you need to work long enough and for different type of practices to learn what type of practice it is that you like to have. Do you like to work with Medicaid offices where you see a lot of patients, but you won't be able to offer a lot of dental services? Like you won't be able to probably do implants, you won't be able to offer probably cosmetic dentistry, you won't be able to offer. You can do Botox because people don't need those. There you see a lot of people who want extractions, a lot of kids. So then you go work in a private practice where you learn the other type of practice where it's more demanding. You need to have better skills. You can do crowns and root canals and cosmetic dentistry and all that. So then after you learn about yourself and you see what type of practice it is that you're interested in, then you can pick your population. You can say, oh, I want to work in this neighborhood because I know that these are the type of procedures I'm going to be performing in this neighborhood or another neighborhood. So that's how it was for me. I'm not sure what other people do, but that was my takeaway.
It sounds like after school, and then you kind of dived into the specialty, right? The continued education on a certain field to see what you like and you feel more comfortable working with, right? Is that right?
You can do that too. In my case, it was different because I was already specialized, and the way that I was trained to do dentistry, I went to school in a dental school that they taught us a lot. So majority of people who graduate here in America, I feel like they're limited on what they can do because they can do fillings and not a lot of root canals, not a lot of extractions. But I would say the way for you to learn what you're comfortable with, first of all, would be to start doing those. And it's hard to start doing all those in a practice that is very demanding in terms of their patients. So a lot of people start working in Medicaid dental practices because you have a lot more patients too. That's why they call it practice. So if you have a doctor that has 10 years of experience, is never the same as a doctor who has 1 year of experience. It's easier to practice when you have a lot of patients, if you see 20 patients per day rather than 5. So for me, it was more of work experience and not so much of continuing education at the point, because I had a long history of education and I did specialty after my dental school. And for me, it wasn't like that, but I feel like, yes, another way. Well, I did a lot of orthodontic continuing education during the first few years when I graduated, because that's what I felt like I was in terms of knowledge. So I did a lot of orthodontics, but I feel like, yes, continuing education would be a good way. Also working in a practice that is less demanding and more number of patients that you see.
I couldn't agree more about like getting the right experience when you're planning and you're practicing before you starting your own business. So when you start your own private practice, what has been like the hardest moment that you overcome?
Well, that's a really good question. When I wanted to open my dental practice, the hardest thing was to find a location. Um, so I wanted to own my location. I didn't want to rent it because I did not want to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars building out a space for a dental office. Dental offices are very expensive to build. You have to do a lot of plumbing and a lot of build out. So it was hard for me because I wanted to be in Lincoln Park, which is a much more expensive neighborhood compared to other neighborhoods. So I was very fortunate. I found a space that it was vacant for about 6 years actually. And it was really scary because I kept telling myself, okay, if this space is so good, why no one else bought it before? But then I told myself that, okay, this is a good street, it's a good neighborhood. So it probably will be all depending on how hard I work and how genuine I am with my patients and how much they like me. So when I opened, I mean, of course, building a dental office from scratch was really challenging. Just finding a contractor, just coming up with a floor plan, putting it on paper and having different contractors bid on it and trying to have an office that is very nice. I feel like the most challenging part is obviously marketing to get your name out there. And I remember I would see patients only 1 day a week, and I had someone sitting here and just answering phone calls, but they would only schedule patients for me 1 day a week because I wasn't I didn't have unlimited funds. So I would have to go somewhere else and just work as an associate dentist. So I would go somewhere, work for 5 days, and then I would come to my office, work 1 day, and then I would get all that money from the other practice and bring it here and spend it all on costs and overhead. So I remember after 6 months, that's when I started freaking out. Then I said, oh,
You know, that is very common, and I'm glad you took this route because you're not the first person. Because I spoke to a couple other dentists, and this is very clever because you had your dream vision, and you're not fully mature yet, right? So you're still doing other, you know, you have a W-2 from another office, and that
yeah,
pays the rent, that pays the payroll, and
yes,
takes sometime a whole year, 2 years before you fully transition over. But
yes.
I'm glad
But
you stuck to it, right? I'm glad you stuck with it. So tell me
yes,
about this 6 months. What happened? You freaked out, and then what happened?
well, before even I started, oh, I forgot to tell you that I actually taught myself how to make a website. So I remember when I started, I said, how do you make a website? And then the answer comes, they're like, do you have to buy a domain? I'm like, what is a domain? So that's how I started. Then I taught myself I researched. I was like, okay, what's the most common platform, best platform that you can get the best search engine result on it? Then it was WordPress. So I started making a website on WordPress. So the days that I would go in the other practice and I didn't have a patient, I would just sit there and make a website for myself. So anyhow, so I made Yelp for myself. I opened up Yelp, and you'd be surprised, and maybe a lot of people have the same experience. I don't want to use the word hate, but I sometimes do want to use it because I feel like I was bullied by Yelp. So the moment when I was really upset was when I put my name out there on Yelp and patients would come. I would try so hard to get good reviews. I would just literally offer premium service to my patients and I would get reviews. And then Yelp reached out to me. They're like, okay, we want you to advertise with us. I said, well, it makes no sense because it seems to me that it would be logical if patients find you based on your reviews. If I don't have reviews, even if I pay you, what's going to change? But someone was really convincing. So this person convinced me to go on Yelp. I started paying $2,000 per month, which is a lot of money for someone who just opened a business. So after paying them about $15,000, I was like, hold on a second, you're not even sending me any patients. So then I stopped paying them. The moment I stopped paying them, my reviews started disappearing one by one by one. And then they waited for my reviews to disappear. And then they started calling me, telling me that they want me to pay them. So they bully you by removing your reviews. But I was strong. I said, no, I'm not going to pay you anymore. I said, I'm hoping that my patients find me anyways. So at the 6 months point, I want to say that I was probably working 3 days in my office and 3 days in the other office, but I didn't have as many patients. So I started freaking out really badly. So, I mean, I just keep going. So I didn't have any other, I wasn't going to give up. So I, started doing other advertisement and, little by little, just word of mouth. One day I woke up and I had a lot of patients. So the first year we broke even. We started having a lot of good reviews. People just would bring their families and friends and, co-workers. And then just one day it was okay to the point that now we have normal business problems, staffing problem, someone can't come to work because they're sick, someone can't come to work because they're on maternity leave, just things like that. And, the pandemic hit, then we had to close for 2.5 months. And from a lot of patients, busy, we went down to, okay, now we're not busy anymore, all over again.
Wow, that's like a whole story about, the early days of marketing. And I think like the Yelp story relate to me too, because I have, brick and mortars myself. I'm in the beauty salon space. And Yelp also approached me and they bullied me as well. And then, I think they scammed me out of my money, didn't do what they said, and I canceled. They, like you said, they removed my reviews and they just kind of, like keep harassing me, right? So
Yeah,
I told them, hey, look, you know what? That's okay. I'm like I said, like you said, I'm just gonna do good business.
Yeah.
And then I'll just take my review platform to Google. And this is like the early days of Google. I would say 2 years ago when Google My Business were kind of just starting out. And on that platform, you cannot manipulate it. Like that's a negative review is typically stay there.
Yes, I agree. But I feel like, I'm offering something really good to my patients. I'm honest to them. I would never force any patient to actually accept a treatment plan. It's actually very rare for my patients not to accept my treatment plan because I never do unnecessary dentistry.
Right.
Then if I see small cavities, I tell them, I say, I think this is going to take 2 years to get bigger. You could fix it now. 6 months to a year is a good time to fix it. But if you don't have money, don't worry about it. It's not going to get bigger tomorrow. I'm very nice to them. The office is very pretty. If you want me to show you, I can show you. I paint. I put all my paintings in my office on the walls.
Let's see it. Let's give a tour of the office. I want to see your baby. To the people who are listening on the podcast, if they can't see the video, go check out the video on YouTube channel. Wow, I love those ceilings.
Yes, so obviously right now we don't have any patients, so it's perfect timing. I'm going to just turn the camera around if I can. Let's see if I can. Yep. This is Hazel. This is
Hey, what's up, Hazel? So cute.
Here. And obviously this is where you enter the office, and That's our
Very
reception
nice.
desk. You know, we have a fireplace, and I designed the whole office myself. And that's one of my paintings.
Oh
That's
my goodness. So
at the
you're an
front.
artist on the side.
I try to be. So we have different treatment rooms, and in each treatment room, I have another of my painting just hanging here. So we have,
I love it. It looks so nice.
yeah,
And feel very inviting and spacious. Um, and I love your dog.
he's the best part of the dental practice, obviously.
Right? When you have your own business, you can have your dogs in the office.
Yes, have your own business, then you can have your own dog in the practice. I mean, obviously she's trained
Right,
and
right.
she's a really good dog.
Yeah.
But yes, that's one of the advantages.
Yeah. So I love the way you got this whole thing set up. So now the next question is, what is like the biggest takeaway running your own business, your own practice for 6 years?
Um, biggest takeaway. Well, obviously, it's a lot better to have your own business than working for someone. You obviously take a lot more home financially compared to working for someone else. But also at the same time, you have to be very dedicated, very hardworking. If you just want to enjoy your life and just always travel and you don't want to put the hard work, then this is not for you. Just finding staff, especially nowadays, that's the hardest challenge, I would say. But I personally love it. I think it's the best thing I ever did for myself. And I feel empowered, and it gives me a sense of self-satisfaction, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of time when we start our own business, it has to be like the main driver has to like the passion. Like you have to love it. You It's not just like I think I like it. No, it's a lot of time demanding, a lot of energy, effort to make it work. Like you said, staffing is a major issue, and
Yes.
then HR is another whole nother thing you gotta know, right? And
Yes.
the law and the what EDD, the IRS, and all this things you have to learn in a short period of time. There's no
Yes.
excuses for being ignorant as a business owner. You have to learn all of this very, very quickly, or you
Yes.
learn it when you get in trouble. Okay, so my next question is, when it comes to like marketing and growing your dental office, what is the biggest challenge when it comes to like marketing right now?
A lot of times you spend a lot of money and don't get anything in return. That's the problem. So if you can find a marketing company where they guarantee that they will send you patients, and there are marketing companies like that, the biggest challenge, in my opinion, is finding that company who you can trust to do that for you. Just marketing. Yeah.
I think like a lot of time we have to keep trying to find the right fit. But marketing, like is the only way to grow your business, whether it is pay advertising or it's organic marketing.
Yes.
But
And I feel done really well with organic marketing too, because we get a lot of organic requests
mhm.
online. There are things that I would like to add to my website and to my business in general, but also at the same time, I'm really busy. So it takes me time sometimes.
Mhm.
We're doing good.
Yeah, that's good. So my very last question to you is, what would be your top podcast pick or the book that you read that you would recommend to other business owners to kind of dive in and kind of level up their game?
That's a really good question. When I started opening my business, I just read books about how to open a dental practice. I don't specifically remember the books, but I do remember one very good advice that I read in one book. It said that make your own floor plan and have an architect put that on a paper with the material and everything you want, then have different contractors bid on it instead of going to a dental contractor and say, build me a dental office. Because what they do, they pick and choose the material just so they save money. So you don't get to really pick and choose. So I don't remember the name of the book, but there's one very good book that I read about the stock market and IRA plans that I really liked, and I added a 401k plan to my dental practice just based on that. It's called How to Save $1 Million Without Living Like a Pauper. I think so. It's a very old book, but it's a really good book. So it teaches you about different financing companies like Vanguard, like Fidelity, and it teaches you what those things mean. So I read that book actually 3 times. And obviously I read a lot of dental books, just dentistry books. Today actually my patient asked, he says, doctor, what type of music or band are you interested in? I said, well, the answer is very disappointing and you're not gonna like to hear it. He's like, what is it? I said, I don't listen to music. I only listen to YouTube videos about dentistry.
That is so funny. I I have the same, like that's my answer too. Like when people ask me, hey, what kind of music you listen to? I honestly don't listen to music. When I'm driving, it's podcast time. Like I love learning about what's working well, what's the top, whatever, 2022 marketing, something like that, how to grow your business,
Yeah,
mindset, like how to be motivated, how to be a
yeah,
leader, how to
yeah.
be the recent book is how to hire employee in 2022. That's my recent. I need to learn how to hire people. You know, as a business owner, that's like the biggest weak spot because we're such an overachiever, and we, you know, because it's our business, right? But then again, you know, my mentor says, but you know, the reason why your employee is acting that way is why would they care? They're just
Yeah.
here, but they don't. Why would? It's your business.
They're just here to work 8 hours a day and they just want to take some money home. They don't care
Yeah.
about it. I
Yeah.
mean, they start caring about you when they see you caring about them over
Exactly. Yeah.
over time. So you have to show care and you have to do things that show that you don't only look at them as someone who work for you just 8 hours a day. You have to show that you care about them. And you have to be also forgiving because they're human, they make mistakes.
Mhm. I laugh because I was the same way. But then, you know, this whole year, it's 2022, I completely kind of shifted my whole, it's like I'm more easier now. I'm pretty chill. You know,
Oh
I
yeah.
see things happen. I'll just, okay, let's see let's see how, you know, if there's any room for improvement. And I'll be more like guidance, like, hey, I have this is a better way to do this. Let's try this time. Um, because I keep losing people. You know, people come and
Yeah.
then they work for a week and 2 weeks and then they're gone. And it's just stressing me out. I was like, is it me? I think
Yeah.
it is me.
Over time, I learned that I need to polish my personality
Right, right.
just to own a business. I can't be acting up. I can't
Yeah,
be that. And even here and there, if I get a little bit worked up and a little bit upset, I have no problem apologizing. I go to my staff and I say, yeah, I apologize. I was a little stressed when you asked me that question, but I try to make it right because they're human. They're gonna hate you when
yeah.
they
That
you
is
write
so true.
yeah, you write their paycheck. So
Yeah.
if you them, they might do what you want them to do, but then they're gonna hate you. They're not gonna love you. That's the problem.
Yeah. And it's a short-term fix too. Because the business that we have here is actually made up by a team of people.
Yeah.
No, because otherwise, if we are who we are truly and we, you know, are being tough, you're going to be answering the phone, you be working the front desk, you be doing all the job because there's nobody around, you know?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want that. That happened once and I was like, okay, this is crazy. I need to chill out because I don't want to work by myself in my own office because, and you know, that was a few
Mhm.
years back. And then now I think we have, I don't know, close to 30 employees now.
Ah,
And it's quite
fun.
challenging, right? To manage and kind of speak to every employee in the personal level, but also maintaining the business growth, right? But anyway, thank you so much for sharing with us your story and how you kind of start and how you are end up now. Thank you so much for Dr. Mahi. And check out the episode when it goes live. Everybody, thank you so much for your time. And we'll see you on the next one, okay?